am so pleased to welcome into Studio 10 today the acclaimed director of Boys Don't Cry and now Stop Loss, Kimberly Peirce. Welcome, Kimberly.
Thank you, Holly. It's great to be here.
Okay, we're talking about Stop Loss. It's being released on DVD, and this story behind Stop Loss has sort of a personal connection for you. What prompted you to make this film?
You know, I was living in New York for 9/11. I'd been there for 15 years, and I unfortunately saw the towers fall pretty much from my balcony. And I started going to these vigils for the victims, and then America declared war. And I pretty much knew immediately I needed to make a movie about the soldiers, who they were, why they were signing up, and, you know, what their experience in combat was. And it wasn't long after that that my baby brother told us that he was signing up to fight. So it was a very intense time for my entire family to have the youngest in our family over in combat. He ended up serving in Iraq for about a year.
Now, was your brother stop loss? And for those who don't know, what is the idea of stop loss?
Sure. My brother wasn't stop lost. He would have been. His entire unit was stop lost, but he ended up getting out on a combat-related injury. And stop loss is interesting. It's a policy whereby when we're in a time of war, the president has the option of extending people's service past the time that they're supposed to get out. And in some ways it works during a national emergency or a period of war, but in this case they're sort of using it to staff the military. So you have soldiers going on third, fourth, and fifth tours. And I actually found out about it from my brother, who was very pro the mission, and he said that what they were doing essentially amounted to a backdoor draft and recycling soldiers who had already done their time.
Now, a lot of people are saying, and I happen to disagree entirely with this because I've seen the film, that it's the stop-loss idea or going against the stop-loss idea is anti-military, but that's not true at all, is it? For you?
Well, certainly not. If you look at, you know, General Petraeus and you look at Colin Powell, and if you read, you know, a lot of the news that's come out lately, there's pretty much a consensus within, you know, the top brass of the military that stop loss right now is deteriorating the military, because what it's doing is it's sending people back over and over on these tours that the people can't sustain, and neither can their families. So that's certainly coming from the most conservative people, that, you know, staffing the military with stop loss just isn't working. It would be like basically having all your employees, you know, do triple overtime endlessly. It just doesn't work.
Now, as a filmmaker, a lot of filmmakers are into the big blockbusters and, you know, just entertaining, but you seem to really want to have a social or political commentary, or at least to address ideas with your films. Do you feel a responsibility to do that?
I do. I mean, I certainly want to entertain everybody, and, you know, I'm not against making a blockbuster, so that might be my next film. But, you know, what ends up happening is I fall in love with characters, and I fall in love with stories that I care about. You know, with Boys Don't Cry, it was certainly a bunch of people that I knew, and Brandon T and I cared about. And in this case, you know, my baby brother, and, you know, what our country is going through, and all the soldiers that I've interviewed throughout the country. So I just certainly start out with things that I really care about, and if you care about it, you know, you end up making other people care about it.
Now, you have been responsible as a director for basically making the career of Hilary Swank. Are you guys still friends?
We are. She's super talented. So I'm really, you know, I'm happy with that collaboration.
Now, what's on the docket next, Kimberly? What do you got planned?
Well, I'm going to continue, you know, working on stop loss to the extent that they need me. We've been very fortunate that, you know, the issue and soldier welfare has really crossed into the public consciousness. I'm actually going tomorrow to D.C. to address members of Congress. There's a bill that they're trying to pass about stop loss. So I feel very fortunate, you know, to be a part of this whole debate in the culture. And I'm actually working on a romantic comedy, if you can believe it.
Really? What's the story? Can you give us a little bit of insight? What's the story there?
I can tell you about it. It's actually a very hilarious, pretty wild experience that I and a number of friends had. Probably most people can relate to essentially being married and having your partner start another life on you, and everybody like being in hell after that, and then, you know, the trials and tribulations that happen as you get right back on the dating market. And so it's actually this very funny story. So it's a classic romantic comedy with a pretty big gender twist.
Now, do we have any plans for cast yet, or are you already in that stages, or can we maybe
I'm actually I do. I'm in love. There's two great actresses that I have my eye on, and before I announce it, I want to talk to them and show them the script. But it definitely will be a blast, the casting that we have in mind.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Kimberly. Stop Loss is coming out on DVD for anybody who wants to rent or purchase. And what are the extra features like on this particular DVD?
We have a bunch of behind-the-scenes footage because I had about 100 hours of tapes that I made that I gave to the studio. We have a making of, we have the boot camp, and we have commentary. And the boot camp is interesting. I mean, look, we've seen it before, actors going through this stuff, but we had Sergeant Major Jim Deaver, who does all Clint Eastwood's movies, 25 years in the Marines, who ran a boot camp for the guys, and what you really see is the type of training that we're putting our soldiers through. Certainly actors aren't going to go through the whole boot camp the way a real soldier does, but you're going to see how the guys stack, you're going to see how they carry their guns, you're going to see what kind of situations they're going to find themselves in. So I found that stuff really compelling, and people have liked it a lot so far, and you get to see, you know, all our good-looking actors going through boot camp.
And we do enjoy that part as well. Kimberly, thank you so much, and congratulations on another really critically acclaimed film.
Thank you. My pleasure.
And we have a copy of Stop Loss on DVD to give away to